The relationship between India and Turkey has been strained for years. However, recent events have pushed the two nations further apart. The spark came with the devastating Pahalgam terror attack on April 22, 2025. This horrific act of violence claimed the lives of 26 innocent people. India quickly identified the perpetrators. They traced the attack back to groups operating within Pakistan. Adding fuel to the fire was the discovery of Turkish involvement. Pakistan utilized Turkish-made Asisguard Songar drones in a failed retaliatory strike. This revelation ignited outrage in India. It confirmed long-held suspicions about Turkey's support for Pakistan-based terror groups. Turkey's response to the Pahalgam attack further inflamed tensions. Instead of condemning the act, Turkey offered support to Pakistan. This stance, perceived by many in India as a hostile act, marked a turning point in the relationship. The stage was set for a dramatic escalation. India, unwilling to tolerate what it saw as open Turkish complicity in terrorism, prepared to make a bold move. India responded to the Pahalgam attack with Operation Sindoor. This military operation targeted 9 terrorist camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The message was clear. India would not hesitate to act against those who threatened its security, regardless of their location or alliances. But India's response went beyond military action. Recognizing the role of Turkey in the escalating situation, India took decisive diplomatic and economic steps. India downgraded diplomatic ties with Turkey. They recalled their ambassador from Ankara. Additionally, India blocked TRT World's official X account. This Turkish state broadcaster had been accused of spreading misinformation and propaganda in support of Pakistan. The decision to target a media outlet, while controversial, underscored the seriousness with which India viewed Turkey's actions. Operation Sindoor and its accompanying diplomatic moves sent shockwaves through the international community. It signaled a new assertiveness in Indian foreign policy. India's response to Turkish involvement extended beyond the realm of diplomacy and military action. Recognizing the importance of economic leverage, India implemented a series of measures designed to inflict financial pain on Turkey. These measures targeted key sectors of the Turkish economy. Indian online travel platforms, including industry giants like EaseMyTrip, Ixigo, and MakeMyTrip, issued advisories against travel to Turkey. These platforms also discontinued any promotions for Turkish destinations. The impact on Turkey's tourism industry, heavily reliant on Indian visitors, was immediate and significant. Indian traders launched boycotts of Turkish goods. Items like apples and marble, major Turkish exports to India, saw a sharp decline in demand as Indian consumers heeded the call to boycott. This grassroots movement further exacerbated the economic strain on Turkey. In a move that underscored the deterioration of relations, India cancelled a significant naval shipbuilding deal with a Turkish defense firm. This deal, negotiated in 2023, had been touted as a symbol of growing cooperation between the two countries. Its cancellation sent a clear message. India was willing to sacrifice potential economic benefits to punish Turkey for its perceived support of terrorism. Section 4. The numbers tell a story. Declining trade, figures between India and Turkey. The economic consequences of India's actions were swift and substantial. Trade figures between the two countries painted a stark picture of the declining relationship. Exports from India to Turkey plummeted to $5.2 billion in the period from April 2024 to February 2025. This marked a significant drop from $6.65 billion recorded in the same period of the previous year. Key Indian exports like mineral fuels, electrical equipment, and auto parts faced shrinking demand in the Turkish market. The decline in imports from Turkey was equally dramatic. Imports fell to $2.84 billion from $3.78 billion in the corresponding period. Turkish products like marble, apples, and gold, once popular choices for Indian consumers, saw their market share shrink significantly. The trade figures served as a concrete manifestation of the diplomatic rift between the two nations. They underscored the effectiveness of India's economic measures in putting pressure on Turkey. The message was clear. Turkey's perceived support for terrorism came at a cost measured in lost trade and economic opportunities. Section 5. Forging new alliances. India's pivot towards Greece, Armenia, and Cyprus. As India recalibrated its relationship with Turkey, it simultaneously moved to strengthen ties with other countries. This strategic shift aimed to bolster India's position in the region and counterbalance Turkey's influence. Greece emerged as a key partner in this endeavor. India and Greece conducted joint military exercises showcasing their growing defense cooperation. They also explored opportunities for collaboration in the energy sector. India deepened its engagement with Armenia. India finalized a deal for the sale of Pinaka rocket launchers to Armenia, enhancing the latter's defense capabilities. This move was widely seen as a direct challenge to Turkey's ally, Azerbaijan. India also strengthened diplomatic relations with Cyprus. This included increased high-level visits and discussions on bolstering cooperation in areas of mutual interest. These partnerships with Greece, Armenia, and Cyprus served multiple strategic objectives for India. They provided India with new allies in a region where it sought to expand its influence. Section 6. Collateral damage. The impact on tourism and people-to-people ties. The diplomatic standoff between India and Turkey, while primarily a political and economic affair, had undeniable consequences for ordinary citizens. Tourism, once a thriving sector that fostered cultural exchange and understanding, suffered a significant blow. The number of Indian tourists visiting Turkey plummeted following the travel advisories and boycott calls. Estimates suggest that Indian tourist arrivals in Turkey in 2025 were a fraction of the 300,000 recorded in 2023. This decline represented a substantial loss of revenue for the Turkish tourism industry. A similar trend was observed in Azerbaijan. Though less dramatic, the decline in Indian tourists visiting Azerbaijan had a tangible impact on local businesses reliant on tourism. Beyond tourism, people-to-people ties, crucial for fostering goodwill and understanding, were also affected. The approximately 3,000 Indians residing in Turkey, including around 200 students, found themselves caught in the crossfire of the diplomatic row. The strained relations created an atmosphere of uncertainty and anxiety for these individuals. Section 7. A New World Order, Geopolitical Implications of India's Bold Move. India's decision to take a hard line against Turkey carried significant geopolitical implications. It signaled a shift in India's foreign policy approach, demonstrating a willingness to act decisively and independently to protect its interests. This assertive stance resonated with many in India who felt that their country had been too passive in the past. India's actions also highlighted the growing importance of the Indo-Pacific region in global affairs. By forging new alliances and taking a stand against Turkey, India positioned itself as a key player in this strategically vital region. The tensions between India and Turkey had the potential to reshape regional dynamics. India's growing partnerships with countries like Greece, Armenia, and Cyprus created a counterweight to Turkish influence. This realignment of alliances could have far-reaching consequences for regional stability and security. Moreover, India's decision to publicly challenge Turkey, a NATO member, underscored the evolving nature of global power dynamics. It demonstrated that traditional alliances were no longer the only factor shaping international relations.